You're reading that headline right. The American Dream now costs $4.4 million, at least according to Investopedia. This article defines the American Dream using 8 key milestones and estimates their lifetime household costs. These milestones include owning a home, retiring comfortably, taking vacations, and more. According to the article, it's never been more expensive. So this begs the question, how accurate is this? In today's video, we're going to dive into where the $4.4 million figure comes from and rate each milestone's accuracy and explore what this all means for your financial future. Before you sit back and relax, comment below your guess of how many times a bill can be folded before it tears in half. Now let's get into defining the American Dream. Defining the American Dream, well, what does it look like? It's going to look different for different people, but most people's mind is going to go to the image of a house with a white picket fence in a nice suburb. But if you pay any attention to the media, for many, it is simply having the opportunity to live in the United States. And for the most ambitious people among us, it's about building a startup and selling it for millions, if not billions of dollars. With all that said, Investopedia defines it as obtaining the following milestones: retirement, owning a new car, wedding, raising 2 kids and paying for their college degrees, owning a home, pets, annual vacations, and funeral expenses. So what do these costs look like? It all starts with the biggest expense to live the American Dream, and that is your retirement savings. It's estimated at essentially $1.6 million. The article states the average American should save between the ages of 22 to 65, and by the time they retire, they should have $1.6 million saved up. This is going to allow for a 4% withdrawal rate, equating to about $64,000 per year in income. Note, $64,000 is below the median income in the United States, but if you own your home outright, you won't need to make as much to cover a mortgage or rent. That said, there are still some other key considerations, specifically geographic differences. Retirement costs entirely depend on where you live. If you opt for a high cost of living state like New York, you're going to need more than $1.6 million, whereas a person living in a low to medium cost of living state might need much less. You also have to take into consideration lifestyle choices. The cost of retirement varies significantly based on your individual choices. Shocker. If you want to travel the world every year, you're going to need more. If you prefer a quiet life watching your favorite TV shows reruns, you're going to need less. You also have to take into consideration other income sources, like Social Security. Most retirees don't solely rely on savings. The average Social Security benefit in 2024 was around $1,900 per month. While not enough for a luxurious retirement, it significantly offsets saving requirements and needs. You also have to consider the withdrawal rate. The 4% rule is very conservative. Even the creator of the rule suggests a 4.7% withdrawal rate might be more appropriate. Overall, if you don't plan to hand any inheritance to your kids, $1.6 million is probably a fine middle-of-the-road estimate. But if you want to have money left over for your kids to inherit, it's going to be on the low end. So overall, this is a reasonably accurate estimate. Next, we move into new cars. The second expense on this list is owning a new car, estimated at $811,000. This assumes a couple owns 2 brand new cars and finances them from the ages of 29 to 75. This estimate likely ignores the good financing rule for financing a car. For those who don't know it, it is the rule of 23/8. It's where you put a 20% down payment on your car and you don't finance it for more than 3 years, and the monthly payment costs no more than 8% of your annual income. So this estimate is raising some concerns. My main concern with this estimate starts with buying a brand new car. Buying new cars repeatedly is not financially smart. New cars lose about 20% of their value in that first year. Most financially savvy individuals buy used cars that are about 5 years old to avoid the rapid depreciation. Additionally, the estimate is ignoring other driving years. It assumes car ownership starts at 29 and ends at 75, ignoring driving from ages 16 to 29 and after 75. Given these flaws, I would say the estimate is inaccurate and the costs should be far lower if you're smart with your money. Moving into weddings. The estimated cost of a wedding is $43,000 or $44,000 based on the Knot study. It's $43,000, where the average wedding is costing around $38,000 plus an engagement ring costing around $5,000. This estimate aligns well with real-world data. Weddings are more expensive in high cost of living states like New York, and venues can significantly impact the total cost of a wedding. However, couples in lower cost regions might spend significantly less than this. Since the estimate is close to reality, I would say it is accurate overall. Now we move into raising 2 kids. Raising 2 kids and paying for their 4-year college tuition is estimated to cost around $832,000. This includes the cost of raising a child from birth to age 17 and then sending both of them to an in-state public university. The issues with this estimate are kids are not growing up as fast as they used to in today's day and age. Millions of working age men are dropping out of the workforce, which means they're going to rely on their family to live, extending or increasing that expense for you. We also have to consider the cost of college. Many kids like to go out of state, which is going to be more expensive, but then we're also not taking into consideration students that are getting scholarships, attending community college, or working while they study. While raising kids is expensive, this estimate seems fairly accurate, although it might be a bit on the low end depending how fast you get your kids to be independent. Overall, though, I would say it is accurate enough for a non-personalized estimate. Moving into homeownership. The cost of homeownership is estimated at $929,000. This assumes a home is valued at $431,000 with a 7% interest rate on a 30-year mortgage, property taxes of about 0.91% annually, and homeowner insurance at $522 annually. The problem with this estimate is many homeowners will refinance to lower rates, and unless housing prices crash this year, the value is underestimated because the median home price right now is $416,000. So it's just going to be a few years before it costs more than $431,000. Because of these issues, I would say it's a below average estimate, especially in major metropolitan areas. But if you choose to live in a low cost of living area where the housing prices are uninflated, it might be a fair estimate. Moving into pets, the estimated lifetime cost for a dog and a cat is $36,000. This includes pet food, insurance, and vet bills. The estimate seems reasonable to me. Sure, pets can be expensive. However, if you don't splurge on unnecessary expenses and expensive pet products, I think you can get away with owning 2 pets for that cost or less. If you have pets, how much do they cost you? Moving into vacations, the cost of taking 1 vacation per year from the ages of 22 to 85 is estimated to be $179,000. This assumes each vacation costs around $2,800. While Americans take vacations, costs can definitely vary. Like, what kind of travel are you doing? Are you traveling domestic or international? What kind of travel style do you like? Are you doing budget travel or are you doing luxury travel? And then again, it depends on the frequency of travel. Some people don't take a vacation every year. I know personally, growing up in a family that didn't take vacations very often, this number looked a little bit high, but then I thought about it. The average cost of a trip to Disney can be between $10,000 to $15,000 per trip. So if you have the travel bug or the vacation bug, it could definitely be much more expensive. Again, for non-personalized financial estimating, I think this strikes a happy medium. Funeral costs. The estimated cost of a funeral is $8,453. The justification is that people should cover their funeral expenses to avoid burdening their family. With the right life insurance policy, this would mostly, if not entirely, be covered, but that adds an entirely different expense. So while not necessarily a part of the American dream, this estimate is accurate based on national funeral cost data. What would I change? I don't think the American dream costs $4.4 million. And if I had to estimate it better, here's what I would adjust. Retirement. To grant your children an inheritance, I would bump $1.6 million in retirement savings to $3 million. And then car ownership, as I talked about, you want to make good financial decisions, and you can probably cut that in half to say $400,000. And then home ownership, again, I don't think the housing market is going to see a massive correction, or it's going to correct to pre-COVID inflation levels. And still, we're going to get past that $431,000 cost. So overall, these costs are going to increase to $1 million, considering refinancing to a lower interest rate and having an average home cost of $500,000. The remaining categories seem reasonable. So based on these changes, my final estimate is $5.5 million. It could be much lower, under $3 million, especially if your specific dream does not include kids, pets, or vacations. Of course, this is subjective. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. How much do you think the American dream costs, and what should the American dream actually consist of? And if you've made it this far into the video, you might as well like this episode and subscribe to the channel. And if you're interested in learning about what salary can afford the American dream, check it out here. Until next time.